All right, so let's talk real quick about this deck. I really have had a lot of fun with this deck. I call this Mount Rushmore after it was given a name by one of the players I was playing against. I apologize that I forget who offered me the name. But it runs Brujanti Tribu as its primary clan. You're running Miguel and Richter. Richter really is kind of the star of the show. Miguel's not so bad. Miguel's got a slightly better discipline spread in some ways, but doesn't really matter too much except when it comes to grapples. And Ironheart to some extent. So less so overall, and Zephyr, because Richter and Jimmy can Zephyr, whereas Miguel can't. So it goes back and forth between the two, but largely Richter's +1 strength is a big benefit here. We're also playing one copy of Jack. Jack is kind of interesting because he can cheapen some of the locations we have, which is not irrelevant. We are playing Waste Management Operation, we're playing Gang Territory, we're playing the Hunting Ground. So it might come up every once in a while, but another big thing about him is he's got inherent +1 strength. He's got most of the disciplines we're looking for in a vampire. So really great. Also, his ability can be used in Torpor. And then lastly, we got Jimmy Dunn. This discipline spread is amazing. You cannot argue with Potent Celerity Fortitude. I mean, you can try, but they usually punch really hard, especially as you're turning them Anarch. Why? Because a lot of these Anarch cards are really good. Diversion is incredible. I still think that this is one of the most powerful cards, at least combat cards, in VTES to date, just because having an additional strike or preventing 2 damage is awesome. I think Dust Up is the next most powerful of the combat cards, just in sheer versatility. A dodge or a large hand strike or an anti-dodge is kind of interesting tech to be playing. I should say that's not a combat ends card. You got Bollocks, another great card for canceling aims, frenzies, or grapples, or being able to being able to maneuver press when you need to. Interestingly, both of these cards, 2 of these cards have a Thaumaturgy secondary. I haven't really done anything with that, but maybe one day. Grapple, obviously. Grapple lets you get dust ups to happen. You got Lammin up in here for the Fortitude version largely. Getting that extra surprise maneuver when you can't quite bollocks it is way more relevant than it seems from time to time. And then having it as a backup additional strike for +2 is great. Really, there's a downside, obviously, that not replacing until after combat kind of sucks. But this is the kind of like card you play when you're in a last-ditch moment. I could probably play more tastes. We are only running, it was 80 cards before, now it's 79 cards because I took out an open war that didn't work out. But I really think there's room for 10 cards. I just have been debating a lot what direction I want to go with those cards. Dragonbound is great. Narrow Minds, I'm on the fence about. I don't like, it sucks having bleeds bounced at you, but at the same time, losing a card for a turn can sometimes be a big deal. It's iffy. It stays in for right now because I prefer it. Then again, going back up to Masters, we got the Hunting Ground, obviously. Flames has been really good in this deck. Overall, it's gotten out Vampires almost entirely on its own, like a mini Gang Territory for my non-Bruja. Libertas is kind of an MVP here. Libertas is easily one of the cards that really stops you from having to deal with allies being just a persistent problem when you're trying to rush with no stealth. Also, the additional can't dominate, can't presence is super relevant because when you're playing against combat ends and presence, they're stuck paying extra for it if you didn't happen to draw a grapple, or that might even be enough to, make them not be able to pay for it. One tension, this could maybe be more. I'm on the fence. I could maybe throw in a Fame package. 3 vessels, because you got to get some blood back somehow. And then obviously Waste Management, because you're burning through cards pretty fast. Line Brawl is pretty awesome here. Very good versatility here, especially for all the modes. Stealing the Pool, entering combat, bleeding, all great options. Each one useful in its own circumstances. And Make is a really nice rush that gives you potentially a bonus strength. Maybe not, because oftentimes you're going to get blocked. but it's a really scary card, and a handful of times where you get to enter combat and they don't block, oh, so good. Crypt Suns is invaluable. This card just lets you like keep going. It's really great. You have a rush you need to happen, they block, you just say nope, I'm gonna keep going. Also bonus point of damage periodically. 2 is probably too many. Maybe even 1 is too many. I'm still not sure how I feel about this. It's a really great card, but just not 100% sure here. Zephyr's been pretty awesome here. Get a failed block, Zephyr to unlock, rush somebody a second time, rush the real vampire you wanted. Lay Low has been really good too. Use this card twice already, in a couple of cases to literally fill back up a vampire. Ironheart, haven't really gotten a chance to use yet, but really good at canceling a bounce that you don't want to have to deal with, especially if you can get them to pay 2 for it. I guess this actually is no cost is paid, so never mind. And you won't get the 2 blood from it, but still cancels a bounce when you need it to be canceled, or cancels them being able to gain a bunch of blood from a successful political action. Stuff that I would recommend, thoughts have been so far running the nice little Humanitas and the bowl or cup. Is it? No. Bowl. I don't remember the name of the card. This is so pro me recording this. From Fall of London, we are talking about the Ritual Goblet. So you can run the pair of these along with Fame if you want to run that strategy, and then anything that gets in your way, you just kind of beat it to the ground. This strategy is nice because you rescue, then you re-rush, you re-dunk. The problem is it ends up being a lot of cards to bleed for 2 or to bleed for 3. That's really the biggest problem I found with it. And sometimes this vampire sitting in torpor can be a problem because you're dealing with that inevitable tick down of a pool each turn. So you really kind of want to pick and choose your battles. You want to be careful. I don't know that Fame is right for this. And just the Humanitas package is just, it's a lot, like I said, it's a lot of effort for not necessarily as much payoff. Doesn't end up costing anything though, and you do have access to Fortitude and Celerity. So if you want to run that route, you can also go Forced March. But I haven't fully settled on either side of which I want to finalize on. So I also did a variant of this deck I'll talk about real quick, so you get 2 decks for the price of 1. I threw together a Blood Brothers version of this deck. I don't think it's as good. A lot of these vampires just don't. Without Celerity, you lose a lot. Diversion is still a great card, but not as good when you only get 1 version of it. You can occasionally get it from Jerry for a second. You do also get access to Dust Up's anti-dodge tech, which is kind of neat. You still get Lamb Into, and on Barry, you actually get to use the random damage with the press and keep range at close. Kind of a cool effect every once in a while. Coordinate attacks is a lot of fun. This is a nice way to get a second Blood Brother into a combat that you need to finish off somebody who should have died. Slake the Thirst in combination with Taste is amazing. It's even better when you mix it with this coagulated entity, because you are gaining blood, and then you can send the blood back. I believe, let's make sure. Yeah. Hayride is pretty good for repeating the coagulated entities if you need to, or repeating Line Brawl if you want. Yeah, otherwise running Achilles Heel as your finisher, Blood Buff to get them all up a little bit. Sanguinus is pretty important to have it superior. Depravity, obviously. Flames, same as the other one. Libertas, same as the other one. Vessel, same as the other one. So I think this is a weaker version, but if you want to do something a little bit more interesting, give it a shot. The shell is basically the same, so it should largely be a similar game. Just you're going to notice the weakness is pretty easy, but Coagulated Entity is a really good card when you can get it working for that extra damage prevention when you got it on Superior. So yeah, that is the pair of Mount Rushmore decks. I think there may even be a third one coming, but we'll see in the future. Thanks for watching. Good night.